Lots of great books and great prices. Going fast. We're going to be posting new ones all day. Make sure you guys are checking that out. Another live sale tonight. Trying to get John Romita Jr. on right now for an interview. We have a donation going during this this live for Soldiers Angels. No, it didn't. You got to be quick. Huh? Okay. All right, John, Mr. John Romita Jr., you got to click the video camera down at the bottom of the screen with a plus sign to join in on the video. Right down at the bottom of the screen, there should be an icon with a plus sign in it. Looks like a video. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see. Here we go. There he
Guys,
is.
how are you? Sorry about that.
Hey, no apologies. It's fine.
I never claimed to be smart, just really good looking.
Well, it's glad to have you on. Matt here, co-founder of Instagrailz, comic book sales and consignment page on Instagram. We're having our event, a virtual convention, GrailzCon, and it's an honor to have you here. I'm going to give you an introduction, even though everyone knows who you are. You don't need one. I'll try my best. Here we go. So I worked hard on this.
I appreciate that. Hi, Diego. I'm just saying hello, Diego. Diego just sent hello through.
All right. So this guest needs no introduction, but here he is, John Romita Jr. Iconic signature reads JR. Legendary comic book artist with a substantial run on almost every major comic book character, both Marvel and DC, also independent books like Kick-Ass and its spin-off. Your ever-evolving artwork has a dynamic and unique style, instantly recognizable to your millions of fans just like me. Your art's been a staple for comic book readers like myself for decades, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Trust me, it's my pleasure, and my apologies for being late.
Oh,
but, you know, my ears keep my head stuck in my ass. It's really hard to get my head out. And when it does happen, my ears get clogged, you know.
Yeah.
I apologize. And the guy just sent a "Let's Go Mets" sign. I root for the Yankees occasionally too. It's my 9/11 hat.
Great, awesome. Well, we have some questions from some fans and from myself, so I'm just going to get into the questions, if that's okay. I know, we don't have that much time, but this is amazing. I can't believe, anyway. So let's get into it. So a question from a fan, and I guess we'll start with this. So what's a regular day like in the life of John Romita Jr. days?
Today was one of those regular days. I got up really early to start working, so I worked out first. And I just explained to somebody that just went by, I am a Yankee fan because of 9/11, the hats I got from 9/11. That's just to quantify, but I root for the Mets. At any rate, I got up early. I had to do a couple of things, worked out, sat down. The sprinkler people came. The generator people came. Deliveries happened. I'm finally getting to work. I'm working on a Fantastic Four cover.
Oh,
then
nice.
my wife and I have to run a couple of errands. So
Yeah.
I try to put in my 12 hours a day, so I'll probably work when I get home till very late. That's the way it goes. 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. That's the way it is.
Still working. Aside from that, pretty normal things with the sprinklers and the errands, huh?
Happens to everybody that works at home.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I've always noticed about you and your interviews, which is, it's really cool, is your humility and your kind of working class attitude and approach to the profession, and in regards to your status in the industry. It's kind of, you place really an emphasis on your speed and your storytelling, but you kind of play down your skill as an artist, which I think is kind of not giving yourself enough credit. Can you kind of explain your approach to that, or, to our viewers and fans? And
I appreciate that question, and everything you just mentioned in this last little sentence, paragraph, is related to growing up as my father's son.
Mhm.
The line that I will never forget, and actually my wife, Kathy, does the same thing, is to keep my feet on the ground while giving me these great compliments. The problem is that there's always somebody bigger, better, stronger, smarter, better looking, and better artist. And if you deal with that and use it as incentive, and I work hard, it makes me work hard. My father gave me that as a kid. There's always going to be somebody better than you. Every time we go to a gallery or a museum, we would see exactly what he was talking about. And then, of course, having a father that's the brilliant artist that he is, keeps your feet on the ground. The humility part is growing up in New York and having an older brother that's brilliant. You just tend to get your balls busted, and also friends that are the same as my brothers. It just was the way I was brought up and the way I was raised in the area that I was raised. There's no egos involved, none, zero. And in this business, which is as much fun as it is satisfying, I can't stop, but I can't keep myself from having the humility. I enjoy it. I don't want anybody to think that I have this gigantic head. I don't. However, I know what I can do. I know how fast I can do it, and I'm still loving every minute of it. And I just got a compliment about the Straczynski run, and I appreciate that, and I tend to agree. Thank you very much.
I as well. And, you know, you're right. I think having a thick skin and keeping that kind of mentality has probably contributed to your success and your longevity over.
That's what I'm saying is the work ethic, which you mentioned, comes from being raised by my family and my father and my mother, and being married to my wonderful wife. There's a work ethic, and it keeps you grounded, especially knowing that there's somebody. Listen, I knew going into every bar I ever went to, there was somebody bigger and stronger than me. So I never got into fights because of it.
Yeah.
But it applies to the business I'm in, and I don't mean the fighting. I'm just talking about there's always somebody better somewhere. And I grew up in the industry under a Romita Sr. and a Buscema and a Kirby, knowing I can't be better than these guys.
That'll do.
Then I came into the industry with guys like Frank Miller, and then the Jim Lee comes along, and then the Kubert boys come along. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez before I started. How can you possibly have an ego knowing that these people are in your purview?
Hey, let me tell you, as a reader and a fan, you have your place among those names. Let me tell you that. But
thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But so let me get to this question, I guess.
Thank you, Griff. I appreciate that compliment. Sorry, I'm answering some of your questions.
I mean, hey guys, feel free if I see any questions. If I catch any, and I can ask him, and maybe we'll get them answered. But so one thing as a collector and a reader, like I mentioned over time, is to kind of go back into an artist's work from when they start and kind of trace it going forward, and see how their style changes. And for you, I mean, like, if I see a book with the artwork and the cover, that's what I'm going to check it out. That's how it's always been.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But I've noticed over time, going back to kind of when I started reading books, around X-Men 300, the 90s, kind of that big boom. You were doing X-Men at the time, and Punisher, Warzone, and I remember just being blown away by that stuff, amazing stuff. But then, I kind of, people as they do will get in and out of the hobby. I was in the military in high school and that whole, but I kind of found my way back into it. Partly through, I remember they were selling like new Avengers books at the PX in Iraq, and I took those and like, oh, hey, comic books are still around, right? And then I got out and I found my long boxes, and I went back, and through that I went and saw, your stuff from like the 2000s, the 9/11 issue, amazing issue. And I was just, wow, his style's changed, and he's still doing it. It looks great. And he hooked back into it. But I wanted to ask, that style change from like the 70s to the 80s, the 90s with the big shoulder pads, and then back to kind of more fluid look of your Spider-Man run and your Avengers stuff. I mean, is that kind of your own choice, or does that come down from editorial? What goes into the kind of change in style?
Excellent question. The only concerted style change, if you want to call it that, was when I was told to add mass to my figures. This was a casual conversation with my father and, believe it or not, John Buscema.
Oh, wow.
And both of them referred to Jack Kirby, for having mass in the characters, and that they emulated that as they saw. And I was trying to literally square off figures to give mass to them. And I made an effort to do that, and my characters became blocky. And I would hear it from some of the readers saying, Romita sucks. character too blocky. And they were correct. So then I eased that off. That was the only concerted effort. Any other style change was because, as anything in life, if you do it every day for 12 hours a day, every day, you're going to improve at it eventually. And if you don't, it's because you have a big ego. So I didn't have the ego. I got better at it. That is maybe a style change or an image change over the years.
Wow.
Has just been from improvement. And I still have room to improve. So even in 10 years from now, I'm going to do better stuff and different stuff.
Amazing. You know, it's because that's something I wonder. As you know,
Osvaldo, how are you, boss? From Brazil. Sorry, I had to say hello to Osvaldo.
Hey, do the shout outs. It's fine. If you see something, feel free. I mean, these guys are here to see you, so that's great.
All right.
So I know we don't have much time, and this is, you know, I kind of boiled down my questions. One thing when I was getting back into these books from an 80s issue in the bullpen bulletin, which I wanted to ask you about, you probably know where I'm going, maybe not, but there was this kind of hunk of the year coming. And I was like,
hunk of the month.
Yeah, and I was like,
hunk of the month. Hey, listen,
like,
the all-time greatest practical joke. Jim Shooter, I'll kick him in the knees one of these days about it, told myself and Bob Layton and Bill Sienkiewicz that there was an influx of personal mail about the fact that there were good-looking young single guys working for Marvel. And Jim Shooter said to me, "We need a photograph of you looking badass, and we're going to put in the back of the issues." Turns out that there was no such thing with anybody else. And I have been paying for it. I've been getting it in the ass for 35 years, ever since. And what's funny is I even tried to come up with an updated photograph just a couple of years ago when I turned a ripe old age.
Yeah.
And I sent it to Rich Johnson. And he said, "No, I'm not going to have any part of this. This is stupid." So it was the greatest practical joke. It has lasted close to 40 years. And I will get him back for this someday.
Well, let me ask you about the environment and kind of, you know, the bullpen, when they kind of made readers think it was just like a big fun kind of group of people hanging out and stuff. Is that how it was?
Thank you, Jeroen. Thanks, boss. Thank you, boss. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Is that accurate? I mean, how was it, and has it changed? How's that changed over time? The kind of group of, you know, other artists and writers that, you know, that you work with, and
we're not the same as it was. It's not the same thing as it was in the bullpen back in the day, but the same camaraderie, the same lightheartedness, the same I'm not taking myself too seriously kind of stuff happens with guys of my generation and even the generation after me, because we have to remember this is a fun business more than anything. You take yourself too seriously and you look like a horse's ass.
Yeah, exactly.
There are brilliant artists. Bill Sienkiewicz. There's so many brilliant painters in the business that are making their living as cartoonists. I almost feel embarrassed because if I ever decide to graduate to painting as I retire, if I ever retire, I'm going to look like a horse's ass again. It's like starting over again. I'm going to be competing with guys that are better than me.
Thanks.
So it's the same feeling. We see each other at conventions, have a beer together, a glass of wine together, and we compliment each other. You look great. You look great. The stuff is beautiful. You still got it. I honestly expect nothing else out of the guys I grew up in business with. It's great.
Well, let me ask you this.
And the guy asking me about Fantastic Four in the future. I'm actually doing, as I speak. Let me turn it so you can see this page. Can you see this? You can't see it. Hang on a second. Let me turn it. This is a cover I'm working on, and it's part of the Fantastic Four 60th anniversary. It's a 60-page book, but I'm not supposed to tell you about that. Sorry. Anyway, I apologize for interrupting.
But yeah, no, I just wanted, you know, a couple more questions while we have you.
Hold on one second. This is the best question of the day. Who has the biggest arms, me or Capullo? Capullo's arms might be a little bit bigger, but I'll kick his ass in a bar fight. I'm dirty. I fight dirty. And there's another guy. I have to include him along with the Kubert brothers and Jim Lee. Capullo is brilliant, and I love him like a brother.
Awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's a good question.
Yeah, no. Hey, feel free. Amazing. So, you know, another interview I saw that when you were younger with your dad, you guys would be watching movies, and he'd point out kind of some scenes, you know, and you know, some scenes in the movies, and you thought that was a great thing to kind of incorporate into your artwork.
That's correct.
I'm just I'm wondering if, you know, there's any specific kind of I mean, in all of your books or anything, kind of.
Sorry, the guy asked about the arms. I had to show him.
But yeah, so whoa, there it is. Hey, you know, looks like that.
The storytelling thing, yeah,
the-
storytelling about film and film scenes.
What kind of examples of that can you point out to the people watching that you remember? Kind of what movies did you incorporate or anything like that? Think of
The movies I incorporated, the ones I watched as a kid with my father when we had nothing else to do on a rainy summer day. But there were films that would subsequently get my attention, great scenes that would show great storytelling, and especially film noir type films. But the top five, On the Waterfront, 12 Angry Men, there's so many films that I've seen as a kid that my father would point things out to me, and I would notice, especially with the older films that had no special effects. You had to rely on really good storytelling. One of them specifically was a movie called The Big Country with Gregory Peck and Charlton Heston.
Oh, wow.
That there was a fight going on, and the two of them walk out into the middle of a big field and they beat the crap out of each other. And the camera was pulled back so far that it was a muffled sound of the two of them beating themselves up. And all you saw was vista. That sunk in with me, that kind of thing, that you didn't have to have a close-up of a battle scene. Yeah, you might have to put in more backgrounds. In this case, it was just fields. But that's the kind of thing that stuck with me, as well as the rainy scenes back alleys of New York.
Yeah,
you sacrifice the home run shot of the superhero.
Yeah.
And you squeeze in a couple of these great vistas or these great pullback shots. In Schmuggy and Bimbo, the characters I drew with Howard Chaykin, I'm doing on this series we're working on. There's back alley scenes in it all the time. Instead of the home run shot of the two of them up close and all the blood and the violence, you sometimes need that moody stuff. And I can't stop myself from loving everything about that. And I was raised that way, and it was the emotion of television. And I can't thank my father enough for that. I can't thank Jim Shooter enough for pounding it into my head. Establish. And all of it congealed into one big storytelling process.
Wow. You know, and
there's a guy here from that Greek mentioned, says, great, my rain scenes are amazing. There it is. Film noir, back alley rain scenes.
Exactly. I was thinking back to X-Men 300, that opening rain scene. And I remember being a young kid, like, this is like a movie, you know, like unbelievable. And,
that was it. That was the truth. It also covers up a lot of ills. I make a mistake, just put rain on it.
Well, let me circle back around now to with you taking inspiration from the movies. A lot of your books and scenes from your books have been translated now directly to, you know, big cinematic movies like
sure.
You know, World War Hulk, the Gladiator Hulk in the big stadium, you know, Kick-Ass, you know, you name it. So have you seen that, and how do you feel about now, you know, they're taking these scenes almost directly in some cases, and now they're on the big screen?
That's because and this is not a humility thing. This is not me trying to be humble. I need storytelling to cover up some of my lack of artistic quality in some cases. There's guys that are better draftsmen than me. So it's called prestidigitation. You know, you put one hand up here and nobody pays attention to the other hand. If you pay attention to the story and the storytelling and the vistas, maybe my lack of artistic quality doesn't show as much. And there are guys better than me by far as draftsmen. But I think I have a grasp of the storytelling that makes up for it. And that's the only way I can put it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know, we're getting close here to the time, so I got a couple more questions.
Sure.
I guess one of the last ones, you've had a crack about almost every character, you know, there is. Is there anything, you showed us a sneak peek that you weren't supposed to, but is there anything, any other characters, you know, you're kind of hoping to get your hands on at some point, or something?
Yeah. Doctor Strange.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I would love, I love Spider-Man. I think it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest character. I would love to go back to that. And I would love a shot at Doctor Strange and get some very strange writer to help me out. Pardon me, but an out of the box kind of a writer to do something really odd. Love it. Love the character. Man, and I have a great idea, but I want to talk about it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That, you know, I've been away from the new releases but that would draw me back in, and I'm sure it would you know, a lot more people. But
Hi, Runesh. How are you from Midtown Comics? How are you, Runesh?
Yeah. So one of the last questions, and this might be it. You mentioned your favorite movies. That was one of my questions. So I guess for my partner here at Instgrailz, AJ, one of the questions he likes to ask in the interviews is, what was the first concert that you ever went to?
Oh my God. You guys really want to know how old I was, huh? I was 13 years old and I went to go see, hold on to your hat, hold on to your ass, Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh.
and let's see, there was a backup band. They sang Celebrate.
The Sunshine Band?
No, not them. This was Sly and the Family Stone was the headliner.
Yeah, wow, amazing.
And the guys that were the backup band had to fill in because Sly came out a little bit toasted. But the first concert was Sly and the Family Stone. That shows you how old I was.
Amazing, amazing. All right, well, Mr. John Romita Jr., we appreciate it. I think that's it. Is there anything else? I know you mentioned upcoming projects. Anything else you'd like to share with everyone?
I'm supposed to keep my big mouth shut, but things will start to appear in a very short amount of time, and then everything will be announced from here on in. But I'm working on a couple of characters right now who are fighting another couple of characters, and I'm going to punch the writer in the mouth when I get a chance because there's a cast of thousands.
Amazing.
No, it wasn't Cool in the Gang. It was Sly and the Family Stone to Yakuza.
Yeah.
But the band, no, it wasn't Celebrate, but it's an old hot. Oh my God, it's an old. I can't remember the name of the band. It's gonna come on in the middle of the night. I'll email you guys.
Yeah, let us know. We'll let everyone know. But so
I just want to celebrate another day of living. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it'll
Someone
come to
in
me.
the chat has to know that. Someone.
Yes.
But all right. Well, we thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for all you've done, all the artwork over the years. Kept me entertained for a long time, and millions of other fans, everyone in this chat. So we really appreciate it, John Romita Jr. And thanks for being here.
All right. And listen, tell everybody that's typing in here, I apologize for not being able to add. And it wasn't Cool in the Gang. It was a Motown gang, but it wasn't Cool in the Gang. Rare Earth. There it is. I got it. It was Rare Earth. Yes. Anyway, I went to go see Sly and the Family Stone and Rare Earth, and the lead singer of Rare Earth had to come on because Sly was a little bit toasted. So we had about a half hour of Sly and the Family Stone, and then 2 hours of Rare Earth. They did a half-hour version of their best song. I love it. I love it.
Amazing. All right.
All right, guys. It was Rare Earth. Thanks so much for reminding me.
It was great to have you.
Anytime. You call me anytime.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care.
Take it easy. Bye.